me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. All right. Thank you so much. So we are starting. We can no longer wait 6 minutes to the hour. It's unfortunate that the class is not full yet. It's really, really unfortunate, but we cannot wait forever. So I want to sincerely welcome you to this class on behalf of the management of IPES, and of course, on behalf of the Vice Chancellor of Joseph Sarwan Taka University, Makurdi. I would like to know where you are joining this class from. Just write in the chat where you are joining this class from. My name is Lami Namonu. As you can see on our first slide, my name is Lami Namonu. PMP, you might come to know the meaning of PMP later on. Well, that means project management professional. I'm a project management professional, but it's my pleasure to facilitate this course, ENS 811, the environment and development. Welcome to the class. My email is there and my phone number. So we go ahead, and I would like us to know that the first thing I like doing in every group I'm meeting for the first time, I'm a stranger to most of you, and I don't like talking with strangers. My mother told me not to talk with strangers when I was growing up. So I'd like to know you one-on-one, to connect with you. That's why I was calling names in the very beginning. I like to know us, to know our backgrounds, to know what we think of this course, to know what we are into, generally speaking. So I would ask our host to launch a poll so that we'll get to know a little bit about ourselves, and then we will take it from there. I need to get to know people. I don't like talking with strangers, like I said. I've told you my name. I need you to tell me yours. So whenever you're going to talk to us in the class, please tell us your name first. Please don't forget that. And I like this class to be interactive. Please note that. I don't like talking. That's why I'm a facilitator, because I'm aware that many of you are very knowledgeable in the title of this course. You know a lot about the environment. You already know a lot about development. So I want it to be a kind of knowledge sharing, a kind of discussion, okay? I am not standing up there. I dare not. And I'm not assuming that you're down here and that you are tabula rasa. Tabula rasa means empty table, nothing there. No, that's not what I'm assuming. You know a lot. Many of you are even experts in this field. You just want to get a certification in the area. So can we have our poll, please, George? I know that you are all willing and ready to launch into this class. So can I just ask, the first question is, how excited are you, to be in this class? How excited are you? Are you just, are you highly excited? Okay? Or are you just moderately excited? I'm just here. I don't know what to expect. Or zero, I'm not excited at all. Ajoko Philemon, your hand is up. I don't know. You want to tell us something? Go ahead. If you can unmute yourself, if the host can unmute you. Ah, I can't see who is the host of this meeting. I don't know if I've been made host and the host has disappeared.
Sorry,
Ajoko, your
ma.
hand
I've
is...
asked him to unmute.
Yes, go ahead. Your hand is up. What you want to say something?
I've
Yeah.
unmuted him.
Good afternoon, man.
Good afternoon. Who is speaking? I can't see.
Okay, my name is Ajoko Philemon, the guy joining from Brinning. I'm joining from Kebbi State.
Okay.
Yeah, northwestern part of Nigeria.
I know where Kebbi State is, carved out of Sokoto. Go ahead. What do you have to tell us?
Yeah, I'm actually highly super excited joining this class.
Thank you very much, Philemon. So please, I want you to put your reactions in the chat box. Don't say it, just put it in the chat box. Are you highly excited, super excited like Philemon is? Are you just moderately excited? Are you? I want out of this class. I want to leave this class. I'm forced to be here. Please write in the chat box, okay? When you have questions that you can put up your hands and then let's talk. So about your excitement, Ajoko has already told us. Put in the chat box. And then I also want to know your background. I can see people joining from Abuja, from Makurdi, from Abuja. Favor is from Abuja. And then who else? 62 people. Oh, I'm joining from Makurdi, super excited. I can see super, super, super excited. Wow, joining from Benin City. Wow, interesting. Omomo Edo, Koyo, yes, that's interesting. Ah, wow, interesting. Ah, wow. I think I can see that many of us, someone is joining from just Langwen, Tabitha Makut. Thank you, Tabitha. I was in just last week. Wow, this is interesting. I think I can very safely say somebody, oh wow, from Oshogbo, wow, and from wow, ATBU Bauchi, Jibril Muhammad, wow, that's a professor joining from Plateau State. Woo, Adoga Terry from, wow, this is nice. Somebody from Kogi State. I like the national nature of this class. I am excited to be part of this class. You see what I mean? Many of us are, experts in this area, and you just want to be, maybe get a certification, which is good. All right. So, I want to thank you for what you've written. I want to also know what's your background. This is MSc Environmental Sustainability. Is anybody in this class armed with a BSc Environmental Sustainability? Shout it out loud. Shout out loud if you have BSc Environmental Sustainability. Huh? Even as I'm asking, I know that there's nobody with a degree in BSc Environmental Sustainability. You can have environmental management, environmental science, environmental chemistry, environmental physics, environmental geography, but environmental sustainability, zilch. I know because this is a pilot project and the Centers of Excellence have not graduated anyone with BSc Environmental Sustainability. So just put your background in the chat. Let's see your background. What's your first degree? What's your second degree? If you have one, I can see urban and regional planning, environmental management, and toxicology. Lovely. That's a good one. Woo, everyone is good. Environmental science and resource management, geography and planning, environmental chemistry, industrial physics, mechanical engineering, agronomy. Wow. This promises to be the bomb. This class promises to be a bomb. BSc biology, BSc ed biology, BSc, B engine, plant science and biotechnology. You see what I mean? This is what I'm talking about. Your backgrounds are all, I am really proud of you all. Animal production, there's an animal production person here. There's geology and mining. Someone told me when I was growing up that it's called geology and mining. I would never forget that. I discovered later that it was geology and mining. So thank you so much, physical and health education. Wow, that is interesting. Honestly, I am so happy that you're here. BSc Chemistry, B.Ed Tech. Thank you. Now, I want you to just loosen up. I need you to loosen up because like I said, this class will be highly interactive. I need you to talk. I need you to share. We're all learning.
I talk now, really. Yeah, so. BSc Plant Science, BSc Biology.
Okay.
Was I thrown out? How dare you, network? How dare you throw me out? This is interesting. So kindly forgive that. So I would share my screen again because I was thrown out. That is crazy. So sorry about that. This is where we are in Nigeria. That's where we are. Have to forge ahead. There is nothing we can do. I am actually not on location. If I were in our center of excellence at the institute, then this would not happen. But I am not on location, so I'm using my Wi-Fi. Kindly forgive that. I pray and hope it doesn't happen again. So, yes, 811, ENS 811 started today, and you had Professor Tembe in the morning, okay? And so you, I believe, have been given the course overview. If you haven't, this is just a peek into it because you should know what the course is all about. So that I like doing this so that you can read ahead, you can flex, you can do some other like checks, on your own and all of that. So the course rationale is that the 21st century has unprecedented environmental challenges. We know it. There is accelerating climate change. I mean, I don't know from different parts of Nigeria that you are, did you experience Hamatan this year? I mean, I was in just 2 weeks ago and I was sweating in Jos Far. So that kind of thing. There is biodiversity collapse, there is deforestation, and there is urban sprawl. That's everybody. People are moving from the villages. Nobody wants to stay in the villages anymore. Then, of course, we know that there is resource depletion as a corollary of what we're talking about. So these are intricately linked to patterns of economic development, poverty, inequality, and governance, of course. Now, environmental and developmental issues intersect, especially in the global south. I hope we know what we mean by the global south, okay? And ecologically vulnerable areas. We'll talk about global south and global north in this meeting so that we're on the same page. So ENS 811 explores the complex dynamic interactions between the environment, economic growth, human well-being, and social equity. So the United Nations SDGs, Paris Agreement on Climate Change, which I know we're all familiar with. Now, I'm supposed to tell you about entry behavior. What do we mean by entry behavior? Your entry behavior is the prior knowledge you're supposed to have before you enter into this class. Is that okay? If you don't have these things that I'm listing, it means that you are supposed to go and start doing a lot of reading so that you come, up to the level that you should be at. Because nobody in this class has a BSc in environmental sustainability. So you should come into this course with a beautiful knowledge of greenhouse gases. You should be able to talk very comfortably about the greenhouse effects. You should know what the greenhouse is. I remember the story that I heard. It's a true story that a vice chancellor in a Nigerian university, I will not name the university, just in case it's your university, tongue in cheek. The vice chancellor gave a contract out that a greenhouse should be built. And of course, bids were opened and a contractor won. And then he was building the greenhouse in a different part of the campus. VCs, or I don't know if there was a contract manager, to supervise what was going on. But at the end of some period of time, the contractor said he had finished the building of the greenhouse, and they went to the site to view before commissioning. Behold, what was it? It was a house built with bricks but painted in green color, very beautiful green color. And that was supposed to be the greenhouse that was built by the contractor. I want to believe that there's nobody in this class that is thinking about a greenhouse as a house built with bricks but painted in green. You should be able to talk comfortably about the greenhouse effect. I want reactions. If you're amused, let's see your laughter. If you're excited, let's see claps. Reactions are there. You don't need to be unmuted to give your reactions. Is that okay? You should be able to talk about global warming very, very comfortably. You should be able to give a treatise on it, as in talk about it, let people be wanting more. You should be able to talk about carbon footprint and what carbon credits, what do they mean to you? Like I tell my undergraduate environmental sustainability students, I'm like, if your background, is maybe mathematics, for example, where you're not interested in storytelling, if you're in ENS, you have to be willing to tell stories. If you're talking about carbon footprint, for example, you should be able to talk so that people will ask you to stop. Is enough, enough, enough. You should be able to be comfortable talking about it. You should know what renewable energy is and what low carbon transitions are. You should know about food security and sustainable agriculture, disaster risk reduction and climate resilience. These are things that even if you've been sleeping for 48 hours and somebody taps you and wakes you up, you should be able to talk about indigenous knowledge and environmental stewardship. You should be able to talk about corporate environmental responsibility. You should be able to talk about population, health, and the environment, the nexus between the three of them. You should be able to talk about urban sustainability and smart cities. Our young classmates who read urban and regional planning, I know you will be gurus in that area. You should be able to talk about environmental communication and advocacy and apply what you know, apply literacy in this area. So that's what I mean by entry behavior, what you should know before coming to take ENS 811. So use your tongue to count your teeth. If there are any of these areas you don't yet know, you're not comfortable with yet, ESIA, environmental and social assessment. If you don't know any of these areas, and environmental and social planning, if you don't know any of this, impact assessment. ESIA is what we talk about now, environmental and social impact assessment. We no longer talk about EIA. It used to be environmental and mental impact assessment. But now environment and social are so inextricably intertwined. And that's what the World Bank, is driving at. That's the standard now. So, we're talking about environmental standards. So these are areas you should be able to talk freely about. And so the learning outcomes, if you successfully complete this course, you should be able to critically analyze and describe the interconnections between environmental processes and development policies at local, national, and global levels. You should be able to explain and apply at least 2 frameworks. There are a number of frameworks, but at least 2 of them you should be able to apply. Is that okay? You should be able to apply at least 2 frameworks each of sustainable development, of environmental governance, and environmental economics. You should be able to itemize and elucidate strategic evidence-based solutions for environmental and developmental challenges. These learning outcomes, I have taken time to go through them. And if you honestly go to the end of this course, you should be able to do all of this. Design interdisciplinary research addressing environment and development linkages. They are linked. That's why this course is here. You should be able to advocate, as in debate, involved in policy talks, and design for ethical, inclusive, and ecologically sound development practices. Development as it was and is now and will be, you should become a guru in talking about it. You should be able to write a treatise on environmental justice, environmental ethics, and development. What's the structure of this course? There are actually 8 modules, and we have divided them into 2 because we are 2 facilitators. And the first 4, okay, are going to be taken, have been taken by Nnamonu, yours truly. And then the second 4 are being taken by Professor Emmanuel Tembe You had your first session with him this morning. So that's the course structure. So for interested students, there should be a capstone research dissertation, okay, which will allow you to specialize in your area of interest and where possible for you to interact with community partners or development agencies. That's the course structure. Now, I feel like skipping this slide, but no, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. You see, I always say we do not inherit the earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children. I know that is clear to you. It's not something that is past, that we inherited. It is from our children. So however we use it now, we'll give it to them. And we either make or might for them. Think of your children. So, let's say both current and future generations by responsibly managing natural resources and ecosystems. In other words, you use your natural resources today, the natural resources available today, to ensure that they will be around tomorrow. So we do things today so that we don't jeopardize tomorrow. That is what sustainability is all about. When you now apply sustainability to environment, then you get what we're talking about. Using environmental resources in a way that our children and our children's children will have the same or even better, environment than we are having now. Why must we study global environmental challenges? Because this first module today is about global environmental challenges. Why? Why do we need to study them? We need to study them because I hate this word understand, but let me use it here. Because when you are talking of understanding, how do you measure understanding? We should be able to explain the threats like climate change and know how to mitigate them. Because these things like climate change, deforestation, resource depletion, extinction of species, they directly impact human health and ecosystem stability. They do. For example, you know that COVID-19 had zoonotic origins. You know what I mean? It means that it was said, I don't want to start a debate now. There were two schools of thought. Some said COVID-19 started in the lab, but many others say that it had zoonotic origins from some animals in Wuhan, in a part of China. Well, most diseases, emerging infectious diseases, are zoonotic in origin. That's the World Health Organization 2024. 60%, 60 to 70% of emerging infectious diseases are zoonotic. Most human pathogens are zoonotic. For example, you remember the Ebola virus, SARS, Lassa fever, Zika. All of them are from animals. The viruses originate and they are carried and they are transmitted by animals. That's what we mean by it's having zoonotic origins. Then the knowledge of global environmental challenges will foster sustainable management of natural resources. If you don't know, you know. And if you knew before, now you can appreciate a lot better. So this knowledge of global environmental challenges will inform policy, because I know many of us in this class, more than 100 of us, many of us will be involved in that. Just write Amin in the chat box, or if you're already involved, engaged in developing, formulating policy, just do a thumbs up, okay? And not this knowledge solutions to protect our planet for the current and also for future generations. So what are these global environmental challenges? Environmental issues or challenges, Someone said he has 6 issues. I'm like, what do you mean issues? We're talking about family and he says, I have 6 issues. How do you mean you have 6 issues? He meant he has 6 children. I'm like, are your children issues? Are they your challenges? Please, if you say you have children, say children. Don't say you have issues. Issues, children. Nigerian English sometimes bothers me. Issues, That reminds me of my daughter, my last daughter, when she was growing up, and she came back from school one day, she was chanting, a baby cow is a calf, a baby dog is a puppy, a baby cat is a kitchen. And she was like, a baby goat is a kid. Then she taught me, she said, Mommy, why do your friends call us kids? And it took me a lot of time to explain to her that it's colloquial. It doesn't mean that they are goats and all of that. Anyway, when we're talking about issues, we're talking about challenges. Now, this is a ranked list of the global environmental challenges. Climate change. This is not NANU ranking. It is United Nations 2024. Climate change tops the list. Then biodiversity loss, water scarcity, air and plastic pollution, deforestation and soil degradation. Well, you can think, you might debate, maybe your debate to be taken to the United Nations about, the ranking, the position of some of those challenges. So, of course, let's look at, the first one, the greatest threat, climate change. This is what I said you should have come into the class with. If we want to talk about climate change and how they are caused, 2, 3, 4 hours will not be enough for us to talk about climate change, But the causes are greenhouse gases. You can name some of the greenhouse gases. You can name them, all right? Industrialization is part of it. Now, let's look at the global temperature anomaly, a map of it in our next slide. What do we mean by global temperature anomaly? Air temperature anomalies, that's the difference between the observed temperatures today, okay, of low areas, okay, and a long-term average. Usually an average of about 30 to 35 years is taken, okay, as a baseline. So then the current temperature of an area, a country, okay, or a continent is taken, the average temperature. So if there is, and then compared with this baseline, this 30 years plus baseline. So if the anomaly is positive, it means that the conditions are warmer. Thought this MTN was strong in this place. Problem. I'm so sorry about that. When you can no longer hear me, just indicates in the chat. But I was thrown out, so I wouldn't even have been able to look at the chat. It's so sorry about that. So negative anomalies means that the areas are cooler than the average conditions, and you will hear pre-industrial temperatures. What do we mean in environmental sustainability when we talk about the global average temperature from 1850 to 1900? Is that okay? That's what we refer to as pre-industrial, because, well, industrialization is supposed to have started after the 1900. Okay, and what century is this? 1850. What century is that? Write in the chat box what century you think that is. What century do you think that is? I see somebody writing 18th century. That is 19th century. All right, we are in the 21st century. 2020, 20 something is 21st century. So if you count back 18th century, 19th century is 1850. So the average global temperature for 1850 to 1900 is generally calculated to be about 13.7 degrees Celsius. Okay, now when we look at this global surface air temperature anomalies, this was taken for about 80 years. Okay, so the years before 1940 are below. You can see the blue. The temperatures were like 1.0 cooler than the negative anomaly you're seeing. Okay, you can see minus 0.2 to minus 1.2. That's negative anomaly. Then see positive anomaly. That means the temperature, the area is hotter. You can see 2023 is so hot. The hottest year so far has been 2024. I believe that 2025 will beat 2024 because, I mean, that's what we are experiencing. But you can see, so that's about 1.2 Celsius higher than pre-industrial, temperatures. Now, greenhouse gas emissions by sector. The energy sector emits the highest amount of greenhouse gases. You know why? Go and find out. Agriculture is a huge one too. 18% is huge. Then waste generated. then industry 6%, other industries apart from energy, agriculture, okay? Now, of course, the primary greenhouse gases. Don't tell anybody that in the ENS 811, we're talking about primary greenhouse gases, naming them, because this is SS2 chemistry, okay? And the fluorinated gases. So you're talking about water vapor, carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, okay? And ozone. Now, these gases trap heat in the Earth's atmosphere, contributing to the greenhouse effect and regulating the planet's temperature. You know, a greenhouse is supposed to be a glass house, okay? Where in the temperate regions, they put plants because there is no sunshine there in temperate regions. And because it's a closed place, okay, to trap, all the sun, the gases released by the plants inside the greenhouse, they trap, the heat in the atmosphere, making the temperature so high. That's why it's called the greenhouse effect. So he discovered that the temperature in the greenhouse is hotter than the temperature outside. So the greenhouse effect is just a synonym to describe what we are seeing on Earth. Climate impacts on development. According to the World Bank report, 86 million, by the year 2050, 143 million people will be displaced. Internally, we're talking about internal displacement. 86 million will be sub-Saharan Africa. Sad, isn't it? But that's the fact. 40 million South Asia and the Pacific, and then 17 million from the LAC, the Latin American countries. Now, internal displacement is largely driven by slow onsets of climate change, drought, crop failure, desert encroachment, disasters, storms, and what have you. Those are the impacts of development. Biodiversity loss. When you talk of biodiversity loss, of course, we're talking about disappearance, gradually decline, okay, in the quantity, the population of plant and animal species, either locally or globally, habitat destruction, pollution, and over-exploitation. Now, of course, it's a silent crisis, but it's happening. It's urgent. It's silent and it's urgent. I want to promise that tomorrow this will not happen. I'll change my internet source so that, so sorry about the poor audio signal. I promise that it won't happen tomorrow. I'll change internet source. I will do something about this tomorrow. Sincere apologies. I don't like giving apologies. No, that's not me. But like I said, I'm out of location. I'm off location. I am not in my house and I'm not in the office. So biodiversity loss, we're saying that it's a silent but urgent crisis, whether we like it or not. A lot is happening. We are losing biodiversity. A man, who lives in the village near where I work, said that before now, in the rainy season, they used to hear frogs and toads croaking. But that now, because of, so much chemicals, according to the man, that they don't hear the toads croaking again. Everywhere is silent. They are no longer seeing the things they used to see before. And the man went on to say that in his backyard, he used to pick snails, huge snails, but now he doesn't see the snails again. I believe you remember the story of Silent Spring. If you are in ENS 811 and you have not heard of Silent Spring, please note it and go and read about Silent Spring. It's even online, okay? The hard copy books are in the university libraries and you can get them online to read. Silent Spring is a story of the beginning of environmental policy and regulation. There was this beautiful lady, Rachel Carson, who wrote that, spring, you're talking of 4 seasons, spring, summer, autumn, winter. That the spring, that's when you begin to hear birds chirping and life coming back. But she said the spring was silent, and that was what drew the attention of the world. 1960, she wrote that book. That was what drew the attention of the world to the fact that anthropogenous activities were really killing, the environment. Rachel Carson wrote that book, and there has been no statistics shows that about 1 million species are at risk, of extinction. And that, in fact, I think it's a very conservative estimate. So in addition to I've chosen as an example in this presentation, only about 10 of them are left in the whole world. I didn't say 10,000 or 10 million, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 in the whole world. That is a various matter. Now, water scarcity, like I was saying, don't So if you look at the world, and you look at areas where you have water scarcity, if you look at areas where you have water scarcity, you discover that this part of the world, okay, Africa, almost the whole of Africa, you can see is, it belongs to the region that just very like so is it directional? I don't know what I've changed direction, so a lot better. The direction changed, and I think so. Pollution death chart. If you look at the chart, you know, or it's sad, you see distribution in the world. Let's think about plastic prices. 11 million tons of plastic enter oceans every year. We don't need to even talk. Okay, so I have switched off my video so that I would have better quality network. Forgive me. I usually like to leave my video on when I am presenting. And microplastics have been detected in the blood of human beings, okay? And studies have confirmed this. What are the dangers of micro and nanoplastics? You know, microplastics are less than 5 millimeters in size, and nanoplastics are less than 1 micrometer. You know, nano is to the power of -9, okay? So what do they do? You can it gets into human body through inhalation. You can inhale it, you can ingest it, you can eat it through your skin, and it accumulates in our organs like lungs, liver, kidneys, and the placenta of babies yet. They cause inflammation, they cause metabolic dysfunction, and they've been known to cause cancer and reproductive issues. Now, a man gets married to a beautiful lady, okay, a handsome man gets married to a beautiful lady. They are unable to have babies. You know, usually in Nigeria, you say, oh, the problem is the woman's own. You might not know that maybe the man has reduced sperm quality, you know, and these are caused by nanoplastics that get into our system. Now, let's look at microplastics in tea bags. Many commercial tea bags, okay, especially those ones that are packaged in plastic mesh or bags with heat-sealed edges, release billions of microplastics and nanoplastics into a single cup of water. Studies have shown that when you brew your tea at 95 degrees Celsius, you know that boiling water is about 100 degrees Celsius. It's constant, okay? Now, they can release a 2019 study, which has been confirmed by subsequent research, says that in a cup of water, 11.6 billion microplastics and 0.1 billion nanoplastics in your teacup. That's why somebody saw me one day stirring my tea bag into my teacup, you know, and he was like, no, just dip it in the water. I'm like, no, it's my choice. For several years, I don't use tea bags. That's why you discover that the Chinese, they don't use tea bags. They use loose leaf tea, loose leaf. When we were growing up, we were drinking bongo tea. Bongo on the left side of the screen. It was not in tea bags, though. Our mother would just pack it, scoop it with spoon and put in hot water. Okay? So these plastic tea bags and the polypropylene that is used to seal the paper bags. There are some teas that are packed in traditional paper bags, okay? The tea bags are not plastics, okay? But the polypropylene that is used to seal even those paper bags are the primary sources. They release nanoplastics into our system. So these are the things. Some people will be like, man must die of one thing must kill a man. But if you know that this is not good, you know, every little counts. Stop the one that you know might affect you. What do you lose? You know, that's why, like I said, Chinese, they don't ever use tea bags. They use loose tea because no, they reduce, the nanoplastics and microplastics entering their system. At least if like I always say, if you're doing environmental sustainability and your behavior does not change at all, it means that you, even if you get an A in this course, it were better for you that you had a carryover. Your behavior, your character, your attitude as a student of environmental sustainability. This is one of it. If I can continue using tea bags and argue that one thing must kill a man. We used to drink bongo tea and kettle tea. If my mother were alive, you know, she would testify here. It's the loose tea that they put in hot water. We gather with our metal cups and she will, after this,
She will soon join us. Hello, ma'am. Now you can unmute yourself.
Okay, Q. Can you now? I've unmuted, oh, but I doubt that you're hearing me. Yeah, I'm in Abuja,
No,
the center of gravity, the center of the country. And this is what is happening. In my
we can hear you, ma'am.
village, this kind of thing doesn't happen. No. So, no. Okay, thank you.
We can hear you,
I'm
ma'am.
saying I'm in Abuja, the center of the country, and this bad network here from Jabi. Can you believe that? Thank you, thank you. So I was writing in the chat box some activities carried out in your locality that come to deforestation. I need to see some of your activities so that nobody sleeps here. Let's see if they are contributing to deforestation. Yes, can we see? I can see one. Uh, I can see somebody said Abuja is cool. Just cool. Abuja is messing me up with bad network. Jessica Tazamando. Yes. All right. I want to see it. It is. Jessica, can we start with yours? Some activities in your locality that you think into deforestation. Let's see. Let's see. Nobody has written anything. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Are we
Jessica, raise
together?
your
Are
hand.
we vibrating on the same frequency?
Yes,
Please write
ma'am.
something. What you, Ubangiji? Yes, let's hear you. Please write. What are the things, some activities that contribute to deforestation in your locality? Dauphin, Miriam Wapper. Nobody is writing. Am I making my Yes, I can see logging, construction work, tree felling. It's felling, not falling. Oh. Right, felling, F-E-L-L, not falling. Aha. So, tree felling, I can see logging, I can see charcoal, I can see construction. Yes, activities, you know it. Logging, in fact, this logging thing is becoming very serious and it's alarming. I was traveling from, in fact, there is no day I travel from Makurdi to Abuja and I don't see truck
Network as I hear Prof. Prof is back.
This is crazy.
This is
This
crazy.
is not my idea.
This is not my idea.
Firewood and charcoal production.
Firewood and
Thank you.
charcoal production.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes.
Growth, expansion of cities, Wase James
Expansion of
said
cities
that.
was a
So
James
we know all
said
these
that.
activities.
So we know all these activities.
We know all these activities
We know
that
all these
are
activities.
contributing to population growth and resource demand. So much, a lot. These are, remember we're talking about global environmental challenges. So we're rounding up, and world population reaches about 8 billion or more, in fact, lots more. Now, urbanization and mega cities. Somebody wrote it, urban growth. Nobody wants to live in the villages anymore. Everybody's moving. And Lagos is one of the mega cities of the world. And we know the associated challenges: pollution, slums, waste generation, especially in countries like Nigeria, where our waste management is not altogether straightforward. Then environmental inequality and justice. Like I said, we're rounding up. Marginalized communities are usually, affected, okay? Including indigenous, racialized, and low-income populations. They are the ones, when climate change happens, it is the poor that suffer. The poor and the low-income areas are the ones that suffer. So we know that historical and ongoing patterns of racism often lead to the siting of polluting industries and infrastructure in or near marginalized communities. For example, in Nigeria, do you remember the cocoa toxic waste dump? Please write it if you don't know about cocoa toxic waste dump in Nigeria, in a place called Cocoa, in the then Midwestern state. That was the beginning of our problems in Nigeria. An Italian company brought tons and thousands of tons of toxic waste, not household waste, and dumped in cocoa. Of course, you know that it's my uncle and your uncle in that village that collected money and gave them space to dump it. Many people died. Animals died. Water was polluted. Sicknesses, diseases. And that was the beginning. Can I tell you something? That was a turning point in Nigerian environmental regulation and policy. When that cocoa toxic waste was dumped, that was when Nigeria now woke up and said, we have been sleeping. For this to happen, we are not going to take it anymore. And the laws began to be implemented. So environmental justice is the fair treatment and meaningful involvement of all people, regardless of race, color, national origin, with respect to the development, implementation, and enforcement of environmental laws, regulations, and policies. That's justice. If everybody, regardless of race and color or income, are involved, in development and implementation of environmental policy, then we say we have justice. Do you think we have justice when you are talking about environment in Nigeria? Let's look at this global north and global south. Before now, there were people who talked about the globe as you have industrialized nations. Some will say developed countries. Some will say underdeveloped countries. But that was stigmatization. That was stereotyping. That was derogatory. So in 1980, a man, William Brandt, had a visual depiction of an imaginary line, which is shown in this slide that you are seeing. That imaginary line followed the 30 degrees north latitude line. Okay, you can see the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn there. Those of us who are geographers. Okay, so with the William Brandt line, the wealthier industrialized nations in the north, in purple color there, okay, the wealthier industrial nations they are referred to as the global north. And then the often poorer nations, less developed, are in the south of the Willy Brandt line. Willy Brandt. That's why you talk about the global south and the global north. No longer industrialized or developed and non-industrialized and poor or low income. This is less stereotyping. Do you get it? You talk about the global south. You can see the whole of Africa and South America. But this Brandt line is no longer in use because you can see China is no longer a poor country and Singapore is also out. Singapore is a developed country now. So the global north and global south demarcation, which was imaginary, is no longer that much in use, but we still use the phrases global north, largely speaking, generically speaking, and the global south. Is that okay? Countries with the highest carbon footprint are actually those countries in the global north. They generate all the rubbish and all the toxic waste, okay? And they are the ones that have all the money, okay, to look after the, to take charge of the carbon footprint. But the countries in the global south, they generate very little. Compare that of China and that of US, 5,000 plus, with that of Africa. Look at Saudi Arabia. Look at Indonesia. So climate vulnerability index at the bottom right there, you can see in Africa, the whole of Africa is highly vulnerable when you talk about climate change, mostly at risk if you look at that legend there. Then the least at risk are the ones in green. And you can see is the countries in the global north that are the least at risk. I don't know if you're beginning to see what we're talking about. So you see, we're talking about environment and development. Development and environment. Look at the global south. We are the ones bearing the brunt. So there is this nexus, like industrialization in Southeast Asia. Think about it. Southeast Asia, of course, we're talking about this part of the world, isn't it? Now, let's go ahead. SDGs. As an MSc student of environmental sustainability, if you have been sleeping for 48 hours and somebody taps you, you should be able to name the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations 2030. 2030 is here, by the way. This is 2025. We have 5 years to go. You should be able to tell us how far have we gone with SDG 1 to 17. You should be able to tell us with your eyes closed, SDG number 10, what is it about? What is SDG number 15 about? Life on land. These are some of the things you should know. You should also be familiar with the international environmental agreements. There are at least 4 or 5 international environmental agreements. The Paris Agreement of 2015, which is legally binding on countries to limit global warming to less than 2 degrees Celsius, preferably to 1.5 degrees Celsius compared to pre-industrial levels. Remember, we defined pre-industrial in the beginning, okay? Right? And then, of course, let's look at another one, the Convention on Biodiversity, which that took place in 1992, signed by 150 government leaders. That's the Rio Earth Summit in Brazil. We are dedicated to promoting sustainable development. Now, also, you should know about COP28, 2023. That, of course, is the 2023 United Nations Climate Change Conference, okay? Or Conference of the Parties. That's the origin of the word COP. It's called COP28. It happens, and I think the last one was in Dubai. So the overarching goal of COP28 is to secure global net zero emissions by mid-century. Have we reached the middle of this century? By mid-century, we should reach net zero emissions. That is what we emit and and how we get rid of it. The waste should be net zero. And we should maintain a 1.5 degrees Celsius temperature limit. Okay? To achieve this, we must, of course, countries must enhance their emission reduction targets by 2030. And we should phase out coal and other fossil fuels, the use of those, you know. But let's face reality. We want to phase out coal and other fossil fuels. We might be paying lip service to it. What do you use in your house? How much is domestic gas per cylinder? The 12.5 kg one. How much is it? How many people can afford it? And then you say, we should not cook with firewood again. We should not cook with charcoal. What do you expect the poor to do? If all of us on this class list can afford gas, think of my aunts in my father's village. You know, how much can they afford? Like I saw a politician distributing gas cylinders, you know, in the last campaign time, gas cylinders, this small camping gas one, to the electorate so that they'll vote for him. I'm like, this is a white elephant gift. These village women, how will they refill the gas? Do they have a way to even go and refill? What of the financial capacity? Now, let's look at the role of technology and innovation. Renewable energy, solar, wind growth, circular economy. These are things we should be familiar with. Look at the vertical farming in Singapore. It's happening in Nigeria already. Then there's aquaponics, hydroponics, okay? Where people no longer use soil. We no longer use soil to grow our food. There are schools of thought that say they will never eat that kind of food, though. People that are maybe analog. I don't know if you belong to that group. Put a yes in the chat if you belong to the analog group that will not eat food that is grown, you know, soil free. All right. Then youth and civil society movements are there agitating. Like, of course, in Europe, some youth every Friday they gather and they do what they call the school strike for climate. It's an international movement. I'm not saying you should start dodging classes on Friday, but there are movements like that are civil society movements and youth movements that are agitating for, you know, climate change mitigation. Then the Extinction Rebellion. 70% of youth call climate change a crisis. 70%. But even though many of us here might not, when I'm talking about us, we might not think so. A neighbor of mine almost beat me up when I told him that he should incinerate the waste it generates from his compound. He just steps out and dumps it on the road. Then the wind blows and all the polythene, pure water sachets, they are scattered all over the street. So if you're coming, you look at the street. And I just respectfully told him, the man almost beat me up. You understand? So like I was saying, Extinction Rebellion is real. Let's see what we can do on our own. A friend of mine was in my car. Her car broke down and we're going to school. We're going to walk to the campus, and she drank sachet water. She threw it out of she wound up my own glass in the car and threw it out. I just trafficated, parked, reversed. I went and picked it and dropped it on her feet, at her feet in the car. And she was like, this my own is madness now. What is the meaning of that? Everybody is doing it. I'm like, no. If you don't throw yours through the window, I don't throw. Some other people. Then we have a clean environment. If we go on with everybody is doing it, then where are we going to stop that? So let's do our own little bit. Brighten the corner where you are. Do you drink bottled water in your house? As a student of environmental sustainability, you should stop drinking bottled water. You should stop drinking sachet water. You should get you might ask me, what does this woman want us to drink? Water from the stream? No. I'm saying get a domestic filter, a domestic water filter. Pour your water in, that's renewable. And then filter your water and drink. It's renewable. You just replace the candles. And the candles are made of ceramic, which is also, you know, ecologically positive. You understand? So let's do things to show that we are serious about climate change mitigation, that we are serious about fighting this, you know, reducing these global environmental challenges. Okay? And in our next session, that's tomorrow, we'll be talking about sustainable development theories and practices. Now, among these things we've discussed, what do you think is the most urgent challenge? And how do these challenges worsen inequality? You know, I've traveled to some African countries where you see they are maintaining no use of plastics. At the airport, you can't even wrap your baggage, your luggage with polythene and enter some countries. No, so can we decouple growth from degradation? As we are growing, developing, must there be environmental degradation? Yes or no? Put it in the chat. Must we degrade our environment because we are growing? I think the answer is no. We must not degrade our environment. And it takes the action of you and I. What is development, generally speaking? We'll talk about that in our next meeting. And I want to say thank you very much. And I want to apologize again for the poor network, but I think it's all over the place. I don't think it's my device. I was thinking it's my device. Tomorrow, I'm going to change. I'm going to use my 5G MTN MiFi, and I believe it should be a lot better. So can we have questions, contributions? Let's have, please, host, unmute the class. So me, I don't like the fact that I was talking alone. I don't like it. Please, please talk. I want to hear at least 5 people comment. Let's have 5 comments. Thank you.
Just raise up your hand. You'll be granted permission to speak.
Yes, so let's do that.
Okay, Chief Wange. Chief Wange, you can unmute yourself and speak, sir.
Hello, good afternoon, Prof.
Good afternoon, Wange Tewase Moses.
Good afternoon, classmates. Prof, you talked about environmental justice, and in the time past, I think sometime in Copenhagen Summit on climate change, it was resolved that countries...
Sometime in what? I'm not hearing you well. Sometime, I didn't hear that. Can you repeat, please?
I say sometimes in the past, there was a global summit in Copenhagen.
Okay.
In Copenhagen on climate change. And there, a lot of the activities that was discussed was centered on environmental justice. That's major polluters in the global north, Western countries, and then China of recent, were asked to compensate those in the global south, Nigeria and the rest, because most of the chlorofluorocarbons that is produced from the north, most of them find their way to the south, thereby resulting to ozone depletions and all that, creating ozone holes that is also contributing to climate change in the global south. But I believe years after, up till now, I don't know if there has been any compensation from those major polluters to those with high carbon emission rates to those who don't even emit almost close to zero at all. I don't know. Has there been any environmental justice or compensation to those who are in the global south, countries in the global south? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chief Tewange. Chief Wange Tewase. If there has been, it will be in the news. Such things are usually not hidden. That's why there are agitations left, right, and center. There are people, someone I interacted with in Europe. She actually lives in France. She told me that there are some youth that make it their business. They just go carry protests, they carry placards, and they protest all over that this compensation that has been spoken about has not been done. So we will not do this. We will not leave the road. They have blocked major passages and all of that. If compensations were done, we will not be talking about environmental injustice. And we will hear it. It will be loud and clear. And these compensations don't have to be money. That's the mistake some of us are making. We think compensation has to be money. No. Compensation will be by way of carbon credits. And that's why I said, as you come into this class, you must know about carbon credits. So the carbon credits, carbon footprints, and all of that. So if people are buying, if you emit more toxic waste to generate, you buy more carbon credits. If you emit less, then you sell carbon credits to countries like that. So you need, I think you should do a finding out if carbon credits are being traded. There is trading on carbon, credits going on. But much more than that, the compensation, if it were done and well done and seen to be done, we wouldn't be here agitating and talking about climate injustice. All right? Yeah. So yes, I see Julius Musa. Julius Musa, your hand is up. Julius, you have the floor. Julius Musa, go ahead, unmute yourself. I think
hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Julius.
Yeah, thank you very much for that wonderful lecture, Prof. I really, really learned a lot. It made me remember one of my lecturers, Dr. Mercy Obasi. You actually lecture like that. Thank you very much, ma'am. So my question is, it's a kind of practical one. So assuming we have an industry, or let's say a company rather, that produces, let's say a research, let's say a product rather from a raw material. And then this company is releasing fumes into the atmosphere, very dangerous fumes, maybe gases, into the atmosphere. And then it is affecting the neighboring environment because there are villages around this company. Yes, that is the scenario. So what do you think? And then let's say supposedly there is an EIA that was conducted before the company was established. But
go ahead, Julius. Can we still hear him? I can't hear him anymore. Can you hear me?
No, we can't hear Julius again.
We can't hear him. Okay. But no. He has made his point already. He has made his point. Before we go to another person, please. Julius Musa, if you're hearing us, I first of all want to thank you for thanking me. All right? For the presentation. Thank you that you gave me feedback about my discussion with you. In Nigeria, commendation doesn't come easily. That's why they called him Chief Tewase Wange. Didn't even bother making comments. Please, I like feedback. Oh, you're too fast. Oh, you're too slow. Oh, you didn't do. I like feedback. And then if I did well, I need you to tell me. So thank you, Julius Musa, for being very free, being very generous with your commendation. It means a lot to me, and I am grateful to you. Now, the point you made about companies releasing noxious fumes into the environment, even when the ESIA has been done, that is why you and I are here. We are the whistleblowers of society. I'll give you an example. Something like that happened in Benue State. On the way to, I think, Makurdi to Boko. I won't mention, there was a company that was generating noxious, toxic waste and dumping it, I think, into the River Benue. And the River Benue is used by people that live along, the shores for food, for bathing, for washing, for everything. And it was killing marine life. What happened? It was people from environmental sustainability, people that had taken our courses from Joseph Sawataka University. They blew the whistle. And the company was called to order. The company was called to order. And they have started channeling their waste properly. It is not just, this is the problem now. We have rules, we have laws in Nigeria, policies, regulations. Implementation is a problem. If ESIA was done by that company, and the company, there has to be monitoring and evaluation of whether they are living by what they claim to be doing. There are organizations that should be monitoring that and seeing that, oh, you are not just releasing toxic gases into the atmosphere. You shouldn't. There should be companies, organizations monitoring that, and penalties and liabilities, and they should be brought to book. But if no company is doing it, you as environmental, you are supposed to, you have your pen and paper, write emails to the authorities, give details of that company doing that. And then you see, that is the action we're talking about. You don't have to carry placards, but when you see something wrong, say something. That is what what this course is all about, to sensitize you, to begin to apply the knowledge that you have to make the environment better. Let's not wait for outside help. Let's not wait for, countries out there or leaders out there to come and tell us what to do. The African man is very, very intelligent. I was told when I was in Kigali that initially those masters, when they were there, they were so enchanted by the fact that the African man was intelligent. The dead Africans that were killed during the genocide, they took some of their brain, the gray matter of their brain, back home. I won't mention the name of those countries. They went to investigate to find out what is it in the African man that makes him so intelligent. You and I are intelligent. Our problem is nonchalance. I keep saying it in Nigeria. Our problem is not corruption. Our problem is lawlessness and nonchalance. Okay? And my husband will add baseline hunger. When somebody comes to give you 500,000, then you just keep quiet. You don't talk again. Or something much less than that. Salt and Maggi. People sell their conscience and their votes for things like that. So you are the whistleblower. We are making you people, if you go back to the learning outcomes of this, you are supposed to be the mudguards of society. That is one big thing. Like I will repeat here. And don't be embarrassed if I say it again. If you end up getting an A in this course and your life, your attitude is not changed, your attitude to the environment and your attitude to the things happening around you does not change, then it will be better for you that you got an F and you were thrown out of this class. Thank you, Julius Musa, once again. Ben Asen, your hand is up. Ben Asen, and we have not heard from a lady. Are there no ladies in this class? We want to hear from ladies. Ben Asem, you have the floor, please. Ben Asem.
Okay.
And then maybe one or two more and we are done.
Thank you so much, Prof. Thank you for the very interesting lecture. Sort of reminds me of our undergraduate days where you actually taught us organic chemistry. Thank you once again for the good work you are doing.
Thank you. Ben Asem, I can't remember teaching you. Please, you are under arrest. Thank you for your comments. Go ahead.
That was some years ago, man.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
Okay, so the last question that you asked, Ma, is development is it separatable? Can it be separatable from can environmental degradation be separatable from development? And your answer was yes, we can actually have projects going on, development going on, and reduce the impact of environmental degradation. But if you look at what's happening in reality, even in the West, they are not able to get to that point where it seems as if, the answer also there is not yes. Now, very soon, elections are going to come up, and some of the smartest candidates will be those who would say that I'm going to bring about development in Nigeria. So basically, they're telling you that I'm going to take Nigeria to Europe or Japan's level of pollution and then bring you development. So what I've always thought is it actually a reality to sort of have a balance? So what the West, you talked about carbon credits, and I think it's interesting, but what the West has just done there is to have a sort of excuse so as to continue, depleting our environment. Because really what happens with carbon credit is that, I did a tour of about 8 states in Nigeria, and what happened is that you have flood, you have extreme wind, and all the characteristics of climate change. And what does carbon credit say? You have to do some form of activity. There are some of these people who are just seated, who don't have any means of livelihood, but climate change is hitting them hard. How would they have access to carbon credit? Is there going to be justice by the end of the day? So in summary, my answer usually is no. So I don't know what you have to say about that. Thank you, ma'am.
You are talking about carbon credits availability of carbon credits to individuals. Is that what you're talking about, Bem? Sorry? Hello, Bem Asen. If that's what you're talking about, It's, carbon credits
Yes.
they don't have to do with individuals. Sorry about that. So it's not as if we expect that, okay, I am sitting in my house, I'm vegetarian, I don't eat meat, so my carbon footprint is very, very low. Oh, so I should expect that the government will knock at my door one day and give me some money. No, they won't do that. But the kind of things that are happening now is this one about solar generation, like renewable energy, for example. Now, if you have the solar system in your house and you generate all the electricity you are using, okay, and more than you are using, I hope I'm being understood.
Very well.
If you generate more electricity than you are using, and you come off the national grid, hello, I'm dreaming about that. You come off the national grid, and then you can now sell the extra you are generating to the country. Then they pay you for what the amount of kilowatts of solar energy you are giving to the country. Things like that are happening, okay, on the individual level. But when we are talking about carbon credits, you're talking about industries, you're talking about organizations, you're talking about governments. Do you understand? So that is where the difference comes in. I believe that helps. Does it help, ma'am, Asen?
Yeah, it does. But
Okay.
climate change does not think about whether you're an individual or you are
No, not at all.
um
Not at all.
exactly. So
Or
so
whether you are a
I
corporate organization. Yeah.
exactly. So I'm thinking that there's a huge gap in terms of, actualizing, I mean, having a balance between development and environmental degradation. I think that gap is going to continue long enough, especially as we
No,
also, yeah,
yeah. Go ahead.
especially
And
as
we also will do what?
I mean, especially as we Africans are now,
Mm.
trying to embrace whatever, manufacturing or technology that the West is doing now.
Yes. Yeah. The gap is there, my brother. Let's not deceive ourselves. Do you know, when I lived in England for like 2 years, when I was doing my postdoc work, you discover that a child of 6 years knows that he shouldn't drop the empty bottle of his fruit juice into the can that is for paper. The waste cans are color coded. If he has a bottle, he knows he won't drop it into the paper one. So, there are two things here. There has to be some kind of re-engineering of our minds. The individuals that we're talking about that are not generating toxic waste, sometimes it's by default too. Somebody in the village doesn't even have money to buy meat, not talk of the crayfish, not talk of meat. So it's not that it's a choice. In Nigeria, you show that you have arrived if you can sit and eat a bowl of nkwobi, a pot of nkwobi, a pot of ishiewu, and gulp it down with beer. Then you have arrived. Meanwhile, you are drinking yourself fast to your grave, overeating and all of those. But the person in the village that cannot afford crayfish, not talk of meat, or fish, maybe once in a big while if he goes hunting and he sees, rats in the dry season and all of that. Okay, like I said, that's by default. Now, we are talking about, how that person is compensated, because what you generate, the noxious gases you generate, gets to him by drift, environmental drift, atmospheric drift. You generate waste in noxious air, like the person like Julius Musa is talking about. Even if that toxic fumes are, sent into the atmosphere in Oshobo, atmospheric drift can bring it to Kano State. You get the point? So that is what we are saying. There are two things. The structure for compliance with these regulations are not even in this country. How many places do you go to and you see a dustbin for you to drop your rubbish? Not to talk of color-coded ones. Green for domestic waste, black for bottles, red for glass and paper and things like that. So The structure is not there. So it's a re-engineering that we need as individuals and re-engineering of our government. I don't like to talk about government. I like to talk about the things you and I can do for ourselves, not the things that government can do for us. Is that okay? We have a long way to go. Absolutely. No doubt. But let's start somewhere. Let's not be discouraged by the overwhelming gap. Is that okay? Let's begin to do something, and when we get there. Someone has asked on the chat box, Oche Matthew Aje, Prof, as regards drinking water, are you emphasizing on what we use for drinking and what's the best way? I don't understand this question. I'm talking about, I think about water. I mentioned that you should stop drinking, drinking sachet water. You should stop drinking sachet water and bottled water. I'm talking about the containers of your water, okay? And not if you drink from glass in your house. That's not what I'm talking about. Yeah, you can drink from glass. Of course, if we're talking about global challenges, if you have a microwave oven in your house and you are microwaving your food in plastic, you are eating a lot of microplastics and nanoplastics, and you are in danger of knocking off your testes. You get the point? That's what we're talking about. But we are talking about the water you drink. I have borehole in my house. I don't buy sachet water. I don't buy bottled water. I have a domestic filter that I just pour the borehole water in. Sometimes I even drink it straight. There's some people who say it's hard water. I need the salts, the potassium, and the magnesium and the calcium that makes the water hard. I need to strengthen my bones. So the calcium in the water will give me strong bones. I don't see what the talk is all about. Some of us see it as a class thing. If you are drinking bottled water, then you're classy. You're ingesting microplastics. And then you even go and buy this sachet water that has been lying in the sun out there. It's been in the sun, exposed, because the man selling or the woman selling the sachet water does not know that the heat from the sun is releasing micro and nanoplastics into your water. You go and buy it and you drink. So that's why I'm advocating. Stop drinking those things. Maybe some of us have pure water, what we call pure water business. So I'm not trying to throw you out of business. I'm only trying to talk about ethical and responsible use of these things. If you drink sachet water, when you buy it, cool it, and then dispose of your plastic waste responsibly, okay? Before you get to the level of using your water filter and all of that. When we were growing up, that's why we are strong, kakaraka like this. There was no bottled water, or well, maybe there was. My parents couldn't afford it. And we were drinking from earthenware pots. They put water in earthenware pots and put in the room. And the water is so cold, you don't need fridge. Before my father got the dodgy award and bought fridge, we were drinking from earthenware pots, and that's why we are strong. We got the calcium from the clay and all of that. We are saying, let's retrace our steps. Let's do environmentally sustainable and eco-friendly, ecologically friendly thing. Okay? Yeah. So I think I don't see any other hand up. I think we are done. We've taken more time. Oops, 2:39. But I believe we have made good use of our time. And I want to say, once again, thank you so much for being part of this afternoon's discussion. All right? So, somebody is saying something about earthenware pots. Okay. Do you know that we still use the no fun, Miriam. We still use them. Good. That means you are healthy.
You are healthy.
All right. So thank you so much. God bless you.
God bless
See
you.
you tomorrow.
Thank you, man.
Put on your videos. Put on your videos. Put on your videos. Let's take a photograph. All right. Oh, Ikure, thank you for your reaction. That's Governor. Take photos. Take photos.
Thank you, ma'am.
I need the photos. Put on your videos, everybody. We need the photos.
We need the photos.
Class Governor. Oh yeah, take snapshots. Oh, say, Iron is adjusting his collar. Angu, Ongu. Ongu, Oya, take photos, please. Class governor, smile. Everybody say, say ENS. Who is that? Who is that? Go, Ephraim. Ephraim, go. Dofan, Miriam, Andrew, yes, Yoja, Shima-san.
Yes, so you don't have passport.
All right. Take our photos. We need to see the photos.
You have it. You know the system.
Idu Vivian.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. Bye, everyone. See you tomorrow.
Okay, bye-bye.
Oh, no.